Hey, what is up everyone? I am Piglet here from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, and I am back once again. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mario Kart 64 for the Nintendo 64. Excuse me. So, last time we have managed to able to explore through the rest of the extra class on Star Cup, and it was quite an enjoyable experience all in all, despite we excuse me again, I really apologize for this point, folks, I really am. But despite we did manage to able to... Well, I think I've actually lost track of myself about the actual results from the last video since yesterday. So yeah, as a result, I think that we did that pretty okay, and we still managed to get ourselves our glorious gold trophy during the forms of Star Cup Extra Class. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll present to you the grand finale of this game's Let's Play, and because of that, we are still heading back onto the forms of Extra Class and take on the forms of what else? The final cup in the game, which is of course the Special Cup. So either way though, let's go ahead and select, well obviously we haven't selected Mario for a while, so I figure I'm also able to save him for last because, you know, he's the main character of the entire, you know, Nintendo's glorious mascot of all time, but you know, you get the idea for that point. So, here we go, on to DK's Jungle Parkway, and eventually we'll hit on to Yoshi Valley afterwards, and after that it will be Banshee Boardwalk, and finally, of course, Rainbow Road to end things off. So either way, although originally I was going to show you guys the battle mode of the game, but we'll save that for a later time, because either way though, we'll just have to mainly go for specific stuff in mind. So either way, yeah. So yeah, few things I want to explain about this. In fact, there's actually quite a lot of things I just want to mention about something for this point while this has been going on. Recently is the fact that, well, I don't suppose that I've actually mentioned about that during the forms of the entirety of last weekend, is the fact that recently that Mario Kart Tour got this new tour for this point today, or in this case just recently about I would say for about 3 or so, wait, it's actually 4 days ago, kind of think about it, because today's day is, of course, the 26th of April today in 2020. So in this case, about the fact that we actually got ourselves our new tour hosted in Journey forms of Mario Kart Tour, which this time around it's more like a trick tour. So this means it's the fact that we have to do a lot of, you know, cool tricks, cool stunts to perform, and all the other jazz. Nothing particularly that much remarkable to me though, but at least we can able to give that a shot, to say the least. But either way though, that's all I can really try to ask for this point. So either way, and I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this also is the fact that recently that Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is about to be coming to the Nintendo Switch, but not only for the Nintendo Switch, but also for the PlayStation 4 as well, accordingly, and that will be able to be releasing until next month. Oh, really? Stupid coconuts. Oh jeez, I totally forgot about that part right there, even though despite the fact that I've managed to able to grow my size back and all that stuff. And I apologize for my typing noise in the background, just because I just want to see what is up ahead. So either way though, I just want to classify for something. So either way, yeah, definition of the forms of how the fact that, well, both the forms of the Nintendo Switch version of Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, but also the PlayStation 4 version is about to be releasing as well in the 12th of May, sorry. And we haven't got that far left of it though, especially noticeable how the fact that, well, usually I did manage to still got myself the N64 cartridge version of the game, and we still managed to go even to this day, but unfortunately though, we did have a little bit of a off-colored on our cartridge from the back, which can be also the same applies for my copy of Mario Tennis from the Nintendo 64, despite it still works. But either way though, sometimes I have to get like, you know, out of all the actual N64 games I own, this one gives me a hard time to start up. Like, either way though, that's the only common issue with the forms of certain N64 cartridges nowadays, especially if you have those things for certain for a long period of time, ever since in 1996 or 1997 or something in the UK. So even then I just want to classify for that. So either way, and what else is on here for the actual exciting points during the forms within the past few days has been happening. So either way, I suppose another thing I was gladly to announce is the fact that, you know, with that remake of, you know, or in this case a remaster or something like that, which appears to be SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Hydrated. Finally, that game finally got its release date, and it's going to be releasing on the 23rd of June 2020 for both the PlayStation 4 and I believe Xbox One and PC, Steam, and of course Nintendo Switch version. So either way, I'm very happy that was the case for this point now, just because it might be a perfect opportunity. I'm also able to actually play through of, you know, just trying to do a let's play of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom at some point during the future. But I don't know exactly when exactly for sure. But either way though, we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens there. So either way though, let's go ahead and place that the fake item box just behind. Well, I did not meant to hit Toad. I was gonna aim for Donkey Kong because, well, I was gonna be able to claim, you know, the final trophy in the game, in this case the final gold trophy, just to speak of. So either way though, yeah. And aside from all that stuff though, that's as far as I can usually just try to discuss upon, I'm afraid. Apart from the fact that, well, another sort of news is coming up for, well, sadly to tell you for this point guys, is the fact that there aren't any new Sonic announcements yet. Which either way though, that's kind of upsetting, because even then, it's been about almost a year since we got ourselves our new recent Sonic game, which is of course Team Sonic Racing, but some people might find it okay, and some people might not ask for it, which either way though, I'm still a little bit, well, sort of mixed in results for that stuff though, but we'll get to the actual point of it until when, if some toys can able to actually do the actual let's play of that game at some point next month, which doesn't take that long until whenever we get on to May. So either way though, I was able to establish certain stuff like this happen. So either way though, yeah, that's all I can really doubt it for anyway. So now I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this also is the fact that yes, I did manage to able to finally got my hands on the Game Boy Advance Spyro games. The only exception is of course Spyro Vision, aka Spyro Orange, the Cortex Conspiracy, which I found that game very, very dull and boring. But either way though, the only ones I'm mostly keen on is of course the original 3 Spyro games on the Game Boy Advance, in terms of the Game Boy Advance trilogy of games on Spyro games basically, which there are Spyro 1, The Season of Ice, and Spyro 2, The Season of Flame, and of course Spyro Adventure, aka, well, I don't know what it's usually also known as in North America, but I'm just gonna call it Spyro Adventure from now on. So either way though, and if I play it, it does take a while to get used to with the actual mechanics of anything like that, but I'm hoping I can able to actually just try those games out for myself. Especially noticeable how the fact that at least I can give you know, Spyro Adventure another chance, because back in the day, I got incredibly bored of it for some odd reason, or baffling reason, just because I'm not a big fan of Spyro back in the day. But every now and then now, especially noticeable after the events of the Reunited Trilogy has been just recently announced, or recently just been released, for almost 2 years now, that, well, at least ever since on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One version. So either way though, we can at least expect that, since now, finally, I've now become a Spyro fanboy. So even then though, or the actual fan service alike. So even then though, that's the only thing I can usually just try to describe about that. So yeah, speaking of some more Game Boy Advance stuff, is the fact that all Game Boy series of games as a result, I recently managed able to got myself another copies of both Super Mario Land and Donkey Kong Land 2. Now the reason why that, if you guys are probably thinking that, hey, aren't you already got those 2 games already? Well, long story short actually, is the fact that in my Super Mario Land copy, which is the original cartridge I somehow already got, well, usually not anymore, but back in Journey Films in 2011, if you guys do not know, that most of the time the condition on that cartridge does feel a little bit too, well, kind of bad condition, like specifically turned up cover art, and especially noticeable with there's a couple of bite marks. Ah, jeez, I did not notice. There's this banana peels. Oh jeez. So yeah, yeah, as far as I double check on the actual condition on my copy of Super Mario Land, well, at least I still managed to get that game on the 3DS eShop version, so I can at least manage to able to play it on my Nintendo 3DS and stuff like that, despite with the lack of color. But either way though, it does have a lot of bite marks, which is not that pleasant to me to look at. And especially noticeable how the fact that sometimes when I was trying to able to insert my cartridge into my Game Boy Advance SP, as well as Game Boy player, it doesn't seem to able to work with me half the time, which either way though, it won't start up, and sometimes it doesn't seem to register the actual cartridge all that well. So yeah, as a result, we did manage to at least got another copy of it now, and thankfully though, the actual condition is much better than the forms of how it does it on the previous copy I've usually had since May 2011. So either way, and as for Donkey Kong Land 2, it works just fine in during forms of it in 2018 whenever I first played it. However, there's one little problem with that, and that is, of course, do you remember the forms of most of the Pokemon games on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance games as a result for the Pokemon games, specifically the mainstream ones specifically, which there are Generation 1, Generation 2. No, Peach! 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 Get over here! Ah! I was so close! God dang it, it always happens to me. Like, everyone else just seems to always catches me up to no end, and as a result, yeah, I just simply mess things up completely. Ah, oh well, we'll let Peach take a win. Fine. Bear with me on that one. But anyways, let's move on now to the final track in Mario Kart 64, which is of course Rainbow Road, and hopefully I can able to achieve my massive shortcut I was trying to tell you guys about something, even though I was trying to show you guys right about now. In fact, let's do this right now to get this over with. Oh, can we make it? Can we make it? Can we make it? Can we make it? Yes, we did. Whew. Oh, thank goodness for that. So yeah, that way you can able to actually skip the entire beginning portion of this entire Rainbow Road. So even then though, that way you can able to actually outright just conquer it all. Well, despite the actual rubber banding AI will at some point will eventually decide to catch you up. So yeah, as a result, it can be a bit of a problematic when it comes to rubber banding in this game sometimes. But you know, you get the idea for that solution here. So yeah, I think that shortcut definitely is worth, you know, it's just worth it, because either way, that way you can able to actually end off the stage a little bit more quicker. But I don't think I can usually guarantee I can do this like 3 other times, because most of the time I did manage to practice this on my original cartridge version, and then most of the time I just keep on screwing it up in terms of jumps and everything. So that could be a little bit of a trickier thing to master it though. So either way though, but still, it is worth it though, especially noticeable how the fact that you can able to actually just, well, imagine if you ever do this on time attack mode or something like that, or time trials as far as I like to say, that it behaves exactly like how it does in the forms of Super Mario Kart, by the way, and as a result, and same applies to the other future Mario Kart games, including Super Circuit and Double Dash as well. So yeah, you get the idea for that point. So yeah, anyway, but there is one little problem with my copy, or my previous copy of Donkey Kong Land 2, and that was the fact that my battery save file has been, well, the actual battery on the actual cartridge is officially dead. This means that I can't save, which means that, you know how the fact that, you know, I said this before already, it always tends to happen in most common issues whenever you're trying to purchase some more Pokemon stuff on the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games back in the day. Well, usually that they always attempt to have a little bit of a problematic when it comes to likely trying to able to save the game, because if you turn off the game and turn it back on again, you do realize is the fact that the actual file selection is being completely erased automatically. So yeah, that's very annoying, especially noticeable how the fact that I was going to be able to be super looking forward to playing through you know, Donkey Kong Land 2 whenever I eventually trying to do the Let's Play of these games until in the future, after we're done with the actual trilogy of the original Donkey Kong Country series or something like that. And then basically we just somehow ended up with a bad luck purchase. So, but that was back in the day in 2018 that was. So even then, whilst unlike in my copies of Donkey Kong Land 1 and Donkey Kong Land 3, they managed to work really well, especially on the save systems and stuff like that. especially noticeable, I always have to double check on my Donkey Kong Land 3 cartridge version, so just in case I can able to save my progress and stuff like that. But oh no, it still works even to this day. So even then, though, it's just a shame that I used to have Donkey Kong Land 2, but unfortunately though, that the save battery has been dead. So even then though, that's kind of sucks, honestly. So either way though, that's all I can really say here. And I suppose the final thing I did manage to able to got myself at this point recently, that is of course the next Rayman game, which this time around it appears to be Rayman 3 for not on the Xbox because I already got that on the GameCube, but rather on the Game Boy Advance because, well, it plays like a very similar style as in the forms of the original Rayman from the PlayStation game, and for what I've checked it out, I actually do enjoy it. So even then though, that, yeah, I should probably just go ahead and say this right now, that I think that Rayman 3 is pretty underrated in my opinion, specifically despite there are some few changes in between the first game and the second game, but I understand about the fact that I always intend to adore Rayman 2 The Great Escape on the Dreamcast version, because the Dreamcast version is the definition of the best version of Rayman 2. And as far as the PlayStation 1 classic Rayman, it's actually not half bad, honestly, despite there are some difficulty curves here and there, especially noticeable how the fact that, or did you know that there's also another PlayStation game featuring Rayman, but it's usually called Rayman Jr., which is basically like the same thing except for educational skills, but that's besides the point. So even then though, yeah, that's what I can say about it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to able to actually just get my hands on quite a number of things actually. Oh yeah, I suppose the last thing I just want to talk about this at this point in time, folks, and that is the fact that this is going to be very exciting for you guys, especially noticeable if you're really looking forward to playing through, you know, Burnout's Paradise Remastered on the go. Thankfully, Burnout's Paradise Remastered is eventually going to get its release date for the Nintendo Switch, and I suppose it might actually come out in June at some point. I really don't know, but then again, it's just a little bit of an early prosecuted stuff. So even then though, that's only because of how the fact that then again, the coronavirus thing is still taking over, which as a result, it can really try to ruin our experience all in all. But I will say this right now, if the coronavirus gets worse and worse, then we'll eventually try to able to pre-order not only Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition at some point on May, but until likely in June, I'm actually going to be pre-ordering SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Hydrated for the PlayStation 4 version, and I might try to get the Switch version if depending on how good the performance is in Journey forms of in specifically depending on what versions I'm going to be most likely getting. Although I could able to get the Switch version of SpongeBob SquarePants game because of you can able to play on the go, and well, that's as far as I can say about it. So there we go, we managed to claim first place on Rainbow Road, and I think the first lap is easily the best time just because I managed to achieve that really good shortcut I managed to perform. So yeah, it is definitely worth it, and especially noticeable with the actual results on it. So, oh, I just realized that Yoshi was in second place all this time, despite he hasn't got that much points to catch up on. So either way though, that's all I can really say for this point right here. And this will be the last time we're going to be seeing this award ceremony in this game. Well, not exactly just yet though, because we'll show it to you the forms of the extra stuff of how this game offers us too in just a moment. But first of all, let's go ahead and watch the actual award ceremony, so that way we can able to achieve the final trophy in the game, specifically the gold trophy department. Well, despite I managed able to got most of those trophies in off screen, so I can at least able to expect that. I don't know who's in 4th place at the moment, but if I can guess, it might be Bowser or something. I don't know, I haven't really looked upon it that much in terms of the actual zoom in point. So yeah, I believe Peach is in 2nd place and Yoshi's in 3rd place, and as for Mario, he's the number 1. So once again, the cheap inflatable thing will able to spit out the actual trophy. By the way, it does that also in the forms of well, you know, in Super Mario Kart as well as Mario Kart Super Circuit, but I'm sure enough that some toys were able to actually focusing on Mario Kart Super Circuit Let's Play, which should be up next, but we'll point it out whenever we get into the very end of the entire, you know, Let's Play itself. But either way though, that's it. That's pretty much as far as we can say in terms of Mario Kart 64 has to offer. So even then though, and yeah, let's just go ahead and press the A button right here, so that way we can able to get on to the, of course, the staff credit sequence. Yeah, eventually, if you do manage to accomplish the Special Cup, it doesn't matter if it's in 150cc or extra class, then you're still able to actually get onto the actual staff credit sequence, which either way though, all it just shows is basically it's like the previous tracks you've already racing onto, except there is no players to be able to drive around, so it's just a matter of the fact that you can able to see some different perspectives on certain tracks and beyond. Yeah, I always love to see that driving through that tunnel bit during back in the day, when this game first came out in 1997, or in this case 1996 in Japan. So yeah, that's as far as I can say about this for the most part. So yeah, let's give my final thoughts of this game before we're able to move on to the extra stuff. I think to me though, this game managed to trump the forms of well, Super Mario Kart in my opinion, because first of all, let's get to the positive things out of the way first. First of all, the gameplay is really amazing, and especially noticeable is the actual Mario Kart game I know and love, and especially noticeable with how the fact that, well, the actual tracks themselves aren't half bad either. It's just a matter of the fact that my personal favorite tracks in the entire game will be Royal Raceway, as you can see on screen, Yoshi Valley is an interesting track, and my personal favorite out of all the actual 16 tracks of this whole entire game will definitely have to be DK's Jungle Parkway, because oh man, that track is so amazing, especially noticeable how the fact that usually, relatively speaking, when it comes to DK selections of tracks, even for Donkey Kong based tracks or courses for that matter, I always attempt to able to enjoy most of those, even though the only exception it doesn't able to include those is in, of course, Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart Super Circuit. But in the future games, then it obviously will eventually include the Donkey Kong selections of tracks. So even I just want to classify that. But the visuals still look very good even to this day, despite with all these character sprites do look a bit out of place whenever they look all 2D. But I'm more used to it though, especially noticeable how the fact that it is part of my nostalgic games I've ever played as a kid. And finally, perhaps even most notably, the soundtrack is phenomenal. Like, seriously, it is the best thing about this game offers us too. Controls wise, it's pretty much perfect for the most part though, even though it does take a while to get used to at this point. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about it. The only major gripe I have with the game though is the fact that the rubber banding AI in this game can sometimes manage to go completely insane for the most part. But aside from all that stuff though, you should definitely recommend it.
Hey, you very good. See you next time.
And that's pretty much about it. So either way though, you should definitely recommend you able to get this on the original cartridge for it, or you can able to purchase this on the Wii U's Virtual Console re-release. Even though sadly you can't get this on the Wii's Virtual Console, sadly, just because you know, the eShop thing is now the Wii Shop channel thing is now officially closed down. So yeah, I just want to classify that. So even then though, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about it. Now onto the extra stuff. As you can see, I did manage to able to do a lot of editing stuff, as you can see, because I'm actually going back onto time trials mode, and as you can see, during the forms of a Royal Raceway track, I managed to able to drive through, well, Peach's Castle, which, kind of think about it though, it actually reminds me of something related to, you know, Super Mario 64, which either way though, except the notable difference is the fact that you're obviously driving a car rather than just walking on foot, unlike in Super Mario 64. Can we enter this door or something? Ah, man. Now I think that's a perfect example of why that's in Mario Kart 8, they did manage to able to change things up significantly. That's probably the reason why, for no distractions or anything like that. But as far as in this game in particular goes, that everything else is so recognizable, including the forms of the bridge, and also the actual water you can able to go into, and the bridge actually leads us to the Peach's Castle itself. And the only noticeable absence in these little things itself, which there are the cannons, and that's pretty much about it. If you fell into the water on the other hand though, well, basically it'll take you back to the course as you go. So even then though, that's all I can really say about the first extra thing. And now I'm going to be hit on to the random cup choice as you can see on screen. And because I'm actually selecting Wario for this prime example about the fact that this is not the final time we're going to be seeing the award ceremony for this point yet, because if you manage to get into the 4th place position in terms of Grand Prix, as you can see, like basically I'm going to be going through Mushroom Cup on 150cc, and as a result, if this is what happens if you manage to claim 4th place on that specific ranking, but either way though, you get yourselves like a different ending, or somewhat lower than that, well, between like 4th or 5th or something like that, then you get yourselves likely a different ending, specifically the bad ending. Even though it might start off pretty similar, except, well, the camera view is now viewing at the player you're going to be using. So either way though, except those CPUs, because the CPU players are actually on the award ceremony itself. So there's Wario staring at the other players get onto the actual top 3 positions. And the music is going all depressing. And he drives off. Uh-oh. Oh, poor Wario. And he bites his own cap. So yeah, it says what a pity, which meaning about the fact that you have to try again. So either way though, yeah, that's as far as we can say to show you guys the extra stuff of how this game offers us to, and that's our Let's Play of Mario Kart 64. So this is me, Piglet, for the likes of the Maxi Toys, and join us next time for some more of Mario Kart action. Next up, it will be Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance. So, see you guys then. Bye.